The Call to Freedom is an opinion show. It's meant for informational purposes only. It is not licensed financial advice. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you hear from the Call of Freedom and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. I mean, come on, guys. Duh. It's a cryptocurrency investment and a political talk radio. Of course, it's opinions.
Computers are online. I'm gonna start loading software.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Call to Freedom.
Broadcasting live from Vertcoin Studios on LRN FM.
You're listening to Will.
You will listen to every damn word I have to say!
And Aria.
Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Stay tuned for political talk and everything crypto. That's right.
Broadcasting internationally on our Bit Plus Network satellite.
This is
The Call to Freedom.
All right, let's boot it up.
That's right. Welcome to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcasting as always from the Liberty Radio studios here in Keene, New Hampshire. I'm joined in the studio today by our new normal daily co-host, Michael Hampton. Michael, how are you today?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's actually warm outside. The snow is melting.
It's shorts weather.
The ice that was underneath all of the snow has melted. So now I can actually, clean up the driveway and park there instead of over in the parking lot of the shop next door. Luckily, they're really cool about it. But, it's nice to be able to walk 10 feet instead of 75 feet.
Through a bunch of snow.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting your shoes and socks wet, and it's thoroughly unpleasant.
Yeah, the ice stone has melted, but there's still a lot of water out there.
Wow, I doubt many other people got that. That was great, though. I remember that because I had just started World of Warcraft at that time, and I had no idea what was going on, right? But every few minutes it popped up, the ice stone has melted.
So you started during Burning Crusade?
No, that was during Wrath of the Lich King.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It was.
Yeah, it was still my favorite expansion pack, I would say. Because, it wrapped up the Arthas storyline that had been going on since Warcraft 3.
Yeah, that pretty much put a nice little bow on it, and then they had to come up with something different at that point, and I guess they did. The Cataclysm, so...
I've noticed that they've been sort of rehashing expansions ever since.
It does seem a little bit like it, like they've had...
Like the Burning Legion was a rehash of Burning Crusade.
Right.
Cataclysm was a rehash of Classic. Mists of Pandaria was kind of its own thing, but the most recent one...
Battle for Azeroth.
Warlords of Draenor was a rehash of Wrath of the Lich King.
Right.
And Battle for Azeroth is a rehash of Classic again.
Yeah, it does kind of seem like that. They just, everything new is old again.
I tried to get back into it back in August, and I had the time then. I don't have the time now.
Yeah, I really don't have the time at all.
I would love to return to the PvP because I did arenas and I was really good at it. Had a title and an official rate. Well, obviously you have an official rating, but I had a title and everything. And I just don't have the time. And I have a much better internet connection now, so I could...
You could.
I could get up there to 2,600 probably, but I genuinely don't have the time to farm all of that honor and... What's the other currency? Conquest points that you need.
They changed it in the latest expansion. There's just honor now, I think.
Really?
So it's...
Even for the arena
changed
gear?
it literally every expansion. They've changed it. So.
Well, I haven't actually gotten Battle for Azeroth anyway because I didn't even hit level 110 before I
I got the beta, I played that. I got the release, I played that. Then I quit.
Really?
So...
I didn't know you play World of Warcraft. That's something we could probably do on my days off.
If you had the time, which you don't.
I do, but it's so unpredictable. It's like maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, okay, I've got an hour. I'm going to play a video game. So, that's fun. It's usually Zelda these days, though.
Right.
I tried to stream a few others the other day, but they all gave me various issues. Like Civilization 5, if it's not in windowed mode, because of how it works in the background, I guess, it just won't stream. And of course, playing in window mode, it immediately cuts your frame rate to like 6.
Cut your frame rate to nothing. Yeah. So, you know.
So it was a headache, but I finally got it to stream, and it looked fine for me. But on the stream, it was like 5 frames per second. So I mean, what are you going to do?
Yeah, that's useless.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'm not streaming.
You can't even watch that.
No, you can't. The video feed of my webcam was fine, and everything else was fine, but the actual game window was unplayable. Binding of Isaac, a similar issue. Using 2 monitors, right, to get this one to stream the game after I make sure that everything is correct. But once you put Binding of Isaac in full screen, it locks your mouse. So you can't scroll over there to this other monitor, which is an absolutely useless feature. Okay, I get why the mouse is locked on this monitor, but that shouldn't prevent it from moving to the other monitor.
You'd think.
But it does.
Yeah.
I would have to Google how people stream The Binding of Isaac and Civilization in order to replicate their settings, but I honestly don't care that much. I have 100 Steam games I can play that don't require me to do all that. I have thousands of downloaded ROMs over the course of my life.
If you're going to keep me from having fun, I'm going to go do something else.
Yeah.
Bye.
As much as I like Civilization 5 and things like that, you know, it's too much trouble to actually stream it. But we're not just going to talk about random BS. Well, we are, because that's what we do.
That's what we do every day.
We've been asked on Twitch, should Chinese and Americans, 2 different nations with 2 different sets of laws, allow their citizens to play games with each other?
Oh, he's getting into a good thing. And since we were just talking about World of Warcraft, they have a totally different region for mainland China. Like if you're in mainland China, you have to play on the Chinese servers.
Yeah, and it cuts your experience down after like 2 hours.
You only get to play a certain amount of time, and then they start. There's the thing when you're rested, you go in the inn and you get rest. Well, if you play too long, you start getting tired.
Right.
And you start not being able to get XP. So, or honor or whatever they did. I don't remember exactly what the penalties are. I know they cut your XP.
I think it was everything from gold to honor to experience.
So they just cut it across the board.
But I'm absolutely an advocate of people in different countries being able to play games online against each other. I'm an avid chess player. I haven't played in a couple of years, and you know it's one of those things where your rating drops very, very quickly in chess. But back when I played online a lot, we had just invaded Iraq, and I ended up in a chess game with somebody in Iraq, and it made the war in Iraq so much more real to me just to know that this person was over there in this country that we were invading, and we didn't discuss it. But it totally changed my perspective on the war because I was young and stupid and I didn't give a crap about it. I knew what was going on. Right. But that was the extent of it.
But you know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but the thing that would come to me would be that this is just another regular person over here. Why are we bothering them?
That was exactly how it became for me. I was like, you know, this is just another human being trying to go about their life just like I am. And we're ravaging their country. So I would certainly say that it's been a positive thing.
Yeah, so yeah, I would support the Chinese being able to play on foreign servers. I don't have a problem with that. It is actually possible if you're outside China to make up a fake NID number and get onto the Chinese servers. That won't do you much good unless you actually speak Chinese and can read it. But
sure. Well, I imagine the Chinese government doesn't have any objection to people who voluntarily submit to the Great Firewall of China.
Yes, but the Great Firewall won't let them get out and play on foreign servers like in Taiwan or Korea or the U.S. So they're stuck.
Well, the guy who asked that is afraid of an American nationalist speaking against communist China on a Chinese game. Does the American lose his access to the game even though he paid for it? Generally, no. If you go through Steam and things like that, yes, there are things you could do that would cause them to shut down your account, which would cause you to lose your games. But in the case of these online games, the most that would happen is you would lose access to that particular server. Well, we'll be back with more of this discussion and other things going on in China in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Lil Drums. Every bit as fun as a full-size Nestle drumstick cone and definitely cuter. Visit us at drumstick.com. Vacations are all about family time, but you don't have to leave home to have fun. Take 1 weekend a month and devote it to family activities. Pull out the board games and puzzles, serve up some treats, or have a picnic. Even without leaving home, you'll feel like you've really had some time away. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveatpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveatpurse.com. LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.fm.
All right, welcome back to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. It is February the 21st, 2019. And we've been having a bit of a discussion about China and gaming and whether or not Chinese and American gamers have any real business playing online together. But I mean, the consensus here in the studio is sure, why not?
Why not?
But there's other news from China, a follow-up, as it were, to something we've discussed in the past, which is China's social credit system. This was a story that Michael brought in, if you want to take it.
I will sure take it, though I'll probably mispronounce everything, from the South China Morning Post, February 19th. Millions of Chinese individuals and businesses have been labeled as untrustworthy on an official blacklist, banning them from any number of activities, including accessing financial markets or traveling by air or train, as the use of government's social credit system accelerates. The annual blacklist is part of a broader effort to boost trustworthiness in Chinese society and is an extension of China's social credit system, which is expected to give each of its 1.4 billion citizens a personal score.
Jesus.
So they're assigning scores to everyone based on how they behave. Yeah. The social credit system assigns both positive and negative scores for individual or corporate behavior in an attempt to pressure citizens into behaving.
Yep. No. And if you don't behave, if you do something that results in a negative credit score or one that's just not sufficiently high.
This is what's happened to about 17 million Chinese. They have been unable to buy plane tickets or high-speed train tickets. Human rights advocates worry that the arbitrary system does not take into account individual circumstances and so often unfairly labels individuals and firms as untrustworthy. Over 3.59 million Chinese enterprises were added to the official creditworthiness blacklist last year, banning them from a series of activities, including bidding on projects, accessing security markets, taking part in land auctions, and issuing corporate bonds, according to the 2018 annual report released by China's National Public Credit Information Center. The center is backed by the National Development and Reform Commission, China's top economic planner, to run the credit rating system. According to that report, the authorities collected over 14.21 million pieces of information on the untrustworthy conduct of individuals and businesses, including charges of swindling customers, failing to repay loans, illegal fund collection, false and misleading advertising, as well as uncivilized behavior such as taking reserved seats on trains or causing trouble in hospitals. So if you sit in the reserved for elderly and disabled seat on a train, you could lose your social credit. If you get angry in a hospital because they won't let you see your wife, you could lose your social credit.
That's it's not surprising. It reminds me of the credit system we have here in the United States, which is operated by private companies. Of course, they're not really private. They're in bed with the state, and they have been for years.
They're not really private in China either. These are all state-controlled companies.
This is straight up. Well, yeah, that's true.
Which is the literal definition of fascism.
Yeah, but their credit system is 100% part of the state.
Yeah, it is. It is state mandated, state designed, state run.
Yeah, and ours at least has that pretend wall where it's private businesses doing it. And the reason ours is different is because, one, we have transparency in the credit rating system. You're not going to lose points to your credit score because you took somebody's seat on a bus.
Right.
They outline very clearly the things that cause you to lose credit score and the things that cause you to gain credit score. And even then, it's extremely limited in the number of things that it impacts. It basically just impacts your ability to get credit.
Right. Sometimes it impacts your ability to rent an apartment. A lot of those places do check your credit score.
Interesting. But so ours is very limited. It's unofficially part of the state, but officially it isn't. So there is a bit of less state mandate going on with ours.
But if you are in the U.S. trying to get a government job, a federal government job, they'll pull your credit too, because if you're going for a security clearance, they want to know if you have a whole lot of debt or whatever, something that might be held against you, or if you might be tempted to embezzle or whatever.
We've been asked, did they try to back up their state credit system with science or psychology papers by renowned scientists? Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. This seems to have come out fully formed from somebody in the Chinese government.
Yeah, I mean, they came up with the idea a few years ago, and we covered it when they first implemented it just like 6 months ago, and they never attempted to justify it psychologically or scientifically. I mean, they don't have to.
Yeah, they're the government.
Yeah, they're totally in power over their state, over their people. So I mean, they do what they want, and if the people don't like it, they're just kind of screwed.
Yeah, they can go online and complain about it, but there's nothing they can really do.
Well, I mean, they can't even go online and complain about it most of the time.
Well, sometimes they can, sort of, a little bit, because here's the thing about the Great Firewall of China. It's designed to prevent people from learning about most of the worst stuff that the Chinese government does, but it's also where the human part of this comes in. There's a whole bunch of human censors that review forums and chats and things like that, and their goal is to prevent Chinese citizens from organizing, from actually going out into the streets and protesting.
Yeah, and with all of the tools at the availability of the Chinese government, it's a stark warning to us here in the United States about what could happen. Because, I mean, when you think about how the cops are running around basically now with Google Glass that instantly identifies people and pulls up their backgrounds and histories and social credit system.
Right.
And they have this social credit system that can keep you from getting a job, can keep you from buying groceries, can keep you from traveling. And you have the Great Firewall of China on top of it, which is reasonably successful at limiting what you can even find out about your government.
It's very difficult to bypass the Great Firewall, and I know because better people than me have tried, and it's possible. It's not easy.
Well, obviously, it's going to be possible. No technology is foolproof, but when you combine all of this together, and the people on the ground in China who are attempting actively to keep the Chinese people from organizing, it raises the question of how, in God's name, they could ever resist the state that oversees them.
I don't know how the Chinese people could ever escape the system without outside help.
Yeah, it seems to me that
it's too far gone.
Yeah, they are fully under its control, and the only way they could ever overthrow it would be with outside assistance.
But they don't know that they need to ask for it.
Yeah, and if that sort of thing becomes more widespread, if we get it in the European Union, in the United States, in Russia, in India, in South America, then we may very well be facing
when they do this all over the world, who are you going to ask outside? The aliens?
Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Do you ever say, I could care less, when you really mean the opposite? You mean to say, I couldn't care less. It's a common mistake. You are judged by how you speak, especially if you're looking for work, with so many more applicants than openings now. But even if you're not, avoiding common misstatements will help you make the most of the dozens of conversations and transactions that crowd your daily routine. So whatever you say, don't say whatever as a single word sentence. It's the most annoying expression in the American English language, according to a recent poll. And avoid cliches like the plague. Just kidding. But seriously, at the end of the day, you'll want to avoid this scenario, sounding like everyone else. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Free Talk Live.
You're privileged to drive the road. You must follow the law.
No, I don't have to.
You're going to double park and you're going to make a left-hand turn in front of a cop?
Can I respond to you here, Barbara?
Go right ahead.
I'm not going to run a red light in front of a cop because he has a gun and is willing to hurt me, but I've run plenty of...
Wrong. He's not going to hurt you. He's going to give you a ticket.
Oh, but if I decide not to pull over, what will he do?
Well, you're not obeying the law.
Barbara, I don't obey arbitrary words written down by strangers. I obey natural law, Barbara. That means if I do something, I expect consequences will come from that, sometimes good, sometimes bad.
You run a red light, somebody comes around and you kill him.
I would never run a red light like that. When I run a red light, I stop first, look around, make sure no one is in danger, and then I go through.
Oh, you are such a phony.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
You're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. I would like to remind you, of course, that our podcasts have moved and can be found at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. They are no longer located at Spreaker. Again, that's calltofreedomlive.podbean.com, and we are receiving a call now. I assume that the caller is Gia, or not.
The caller is a dial tone.
Yeah, apparently. People get impatient. I'm almost positive I put them on hold twice. But if you want to give us a call back, go ahead and do so. I was watching it. I was just kind of busy because I forgot to do a couple of things before the show. Because it's been one of those days.
Yeah, whoever you are, give us a call back. We'll try to answer the phone before you...
Hey, caller, this is the Call to Freedom. Is this Gia?
Yes, this is Gia. Hi, girl.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? I'm a big fan. I'm kind of nervous calling this show. I didn't want to take too much time. I just wanted to say something on the air.
Okay. What did you want to say?
Well, you have the theme of forgiveness, and I'm kind of struggling with that lately in this homophobic, transphobic Trump world that we live in, and I just wanted to talk about that.
Okay, well, what were your thoughts on that?
Am I on the air?
You are on the air.
Oh, my, I can't believe it. Okay, yes, hi, everybody. I'm kind of nervous calling. My name's Gia. I'm a young trans woman from the Bay Area of California. And, well, I didn't mean to interrupt the video games talk. I know that's more like boys' stuff. But anyway, being a young trans woman and a former Hillary Clinton supporter, with the monster Hitler Trump that we have in office now. I just really wanted to ask, like, Aria, also as a trans woman, how do you find it in your heart to forgive all the hateful white cis straight men that are spreading all this hatred against black people, gay people, Muslims, and us trans girls? Like, how do you forgive them?
Well, before we get into that, I just want to say that video games are not just a boys thing. You can play them if you're white, black, green, male, female, non-binary, whatever.
Good point. Well, okay. As far
Sorry,
as
I didn't mean of gender.
It's okay.
But how do you forgive hateful people?
With great difficulty, certainly. There's been a lot of people in my life that is difficult to forgive, but as we've been discussing all week, it's for my well-being that I learn to forgive them rather than, keeping that hate and enmity buried inside of me. Whether or not there is some sort of, sure, you have people on the alt-right who hate trans people, who hate Muslims, who hate black people, who hate Hispanics. They are a minority among Republicans. And I would even argue that those sort of hateful bigots are a minority even on the alt-right. I don't know whether or not... Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I can just say that, like, to me, okay, and I love CNN, I love Huffington Post because you actually get real news there. And I do like this libertarian thing. I'll be honest with you, like seeing how much of buttholes, I'm sorry to curse on the air, I'm sorry, but seeing, how bad police are and seeing how much of buttholes police are and how they beat up all these poor black men that didn't do anything. And, I've had a cop grab my butt when I was wearing Daisy Dukes and harassing me. And I won't go into the story, but Aria, I know you've shared as a trans woman and from the South abuse by police and all these other things. And honestly,
sure. They locked me in a concrete room with a steel door and sexually assaulted me. The issue there...
Oh, I'm real sorry to hear that.
Bricks in the wall. The issue, though, is not with police killing black men or police targeting and harassing trans people or gay people or anyone else. The issue is that police do this largely indiscriminately. That's the issue.
Yeah, but who's running them? I don't want to take much more time, but it's like Trump is just like Hitler. Like, I'm telling you right now. And the reason that we want to destroy the democratic process, as they say, well, it's not very democracy-cratic if a Nazi is the literal president. Look at what, one thing, and I love your makeup and I love your style, but like you did that disgusting interview with that monster, that subhuman Christopher Cantwell, and it's just disgusting that idiot that's a fan of his even calls this show. And Alex Jones called the other day. These are Nazis, Aria. Like, I know they say that Alex Jones loves Israel and hides Zionism. I don't even know what that is. I thought that was like a kind of weave extension curl, like lace front, Zionist, like what? But anyway, like, they're Nazis. Look at what just happened to Jesse Smollett. Are you going to ignore that kind of violence that they did to him?
No, I'm going to chuckle because we were talking about that before the show, about how he has now been arrested for filing that false police report about an event that he actually staged.
Yep.
False. No, believe women. This is unfreaking. Oh my God! I'm gonna have to call my boyfriend. This
Smollett
is unbelievable.
Is not a woman.
No, but he is underpaid.
I don't know if he's underpaid or not. He
thinks he is.
Well, he probably is
apparently.
Now. That it's been evidently proven that he filed a false police report claiming an assault happened that did not happen. And again, this is not the first time that we've seen that. We've seen people on the right doing it. We've seen people on the left doing it.
Oh, yeah. It's a popular pastime among people who want to be victims.
Yeah. There was the attorney general in Colorado who spoke out against the pot law that they had passed or something like that. And she wrote herself an email full of threats and things like that, and then publicized it. And it was like, look what people are sending me. And it turned out that she wrote the email to herself. So
I'm not going to say. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say nobody on the left has ever done stuff like that, but you have to admit We, the Democratic Party, the Communists, Antifa, we are fighting Nazis. We are fighting fascists. We deserve open borders, okay? All those people in those other countries, they deserve to come here, okay?
Hey,
and the
we're
last
totally
thing I
for
want to say,
open borders.
well, good. Then we agree on that because that's a smart idea. I mean, you have these idiots talking about, what is that big word? Allocation? What is it, guys? Sorry, my boyfriend, he reads all this stuff. Allocation of, like, resources and stuff. But, like, who cares? Like, feelings matter more than facts. So I'll get off of here. I love your show. I love your look. I just want to ask you, what was it like being with a Nazi, an honest, dyed-in-the-wool Nazi girl? Like, it was disgusting. Christopher Cantwell is disgusting. He should be euthanasiaed.
Well, I certainly don't agree with that. Chris Cantwell is not a bad guy. I will admit that it was jarring because, everybody calls him a Nazi, but everybody calls everybody a Nazi anyway. But it was shocking when I sat down in his studio and he began playing certain things. I think it was that song, Be Edgy or whatever it is. And I was shocked by the audacity in it. And it stunned me to realize that I was sitting across from an actual proud Nazi. And I don't know. I'm sorry, we need to stop them. We can't let them breathe air. That's the thing. Words are violence. Okay, well, I've got to go. I'm a size 2 in women's, and I'm getting into drag, and I've got some new mini skirts. But I'd love to do, take some makeup tips from you or something. But Christopher Cantwell is disgusting. No Nazis, no fascists, no cis, white man, KKK, USA. And believe Jesse Smollett because CNN told me, honey, and he's a queen too. Bye, Aria. Bye.
You know what I'm for? I am for authentic people, not fake people. And Jesse Smollett is fake people.
Absolutely. Well, we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we'll get back into the discussion about the Chinese credit system. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.fm. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे।
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Have sex with prostitutes and then arrest them. Bust people for drugs and then sell the drugs on the side for a nice little bonus. Have you ever wanted to enjoy the power rush of being a cop without all the paperwork? Then you should try the Thin Blue Line game produced by several members of the Libertarian Party's Audacious Caucus. It's the only card game in the world that allows you to shoot someone and escape accountability with the magical phrase, "I feared for my life." Don't want to serve and protect? No problem. Neither do cops. So just focus on your promotion by turning people into sources of revenue, ultimately making your way to being chief of police. Shoot someone over a broken taillight and harass peaceful people over code violations. You know, typical cop stuff. Get it now at thinbluelinegame.com. That's thinbluelinegame.com. Assault and battery is not included. And for a limited time, you can get free shipping by using the coupon code CTF. And that's always a nice thing to not have to pay for the shipping on it.
I like not paying for the shipping. That's how Amazon got so big.
Is it?
Yeah. By giving people free shipping, and eventually they would give people Prime, where they could get shipping in 2 days.
Yeah, that's one of the cool things about Prime. Of course, it's really easy to exploit, especially for like Christmas and things like that. Just sign up for a 30-day trial, enjoy the free shipping, and then cancel.
And then cancel. But
I mean, they know people do that.
They know. Well, they kind of got around that a little bit because now you can. It used to be you had to pay for a year of Prime all at once, and now they let you pay month by month.
Interesting. They screwed me on that, and they knew they were screwing me on that when they did it. Shortly after, when I went to cancel my trial a few years ago, they were like, "Would you like to extend it by 30 days?" And I was like, "Sure." There's some more stuff I need to order. And, of course, I forgot about it.
You forgot about it after the next 30 days?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And so one day I opened my banking app and saw that like $130 had gone to Amazon. And I was like, oh, these jerks. That's exactly why they offered to extend the trial.
Yeah. Well, they've got it's really well hidden, but they've got a thing in there where you can check and have them email you like 3 days before it expires.
Interesting. Well, I get so much junk to my email that I'm scared to open my email app.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You even ever do email then?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I look at it about once a day to make sure there's nothing important in there or anything like that, and to respond to important things. But in general, important stuff, at least show-related stuff, is going to go to producer@calltofreedom.com. But my personal email address is what I've always used to sign up for random crap. So the result is
so there's a lot of stuff in there that you've never unsubscribed from.
Yeah, and I could set up filters to handle it and all of that, but I just can't be bothered. Plus, when would I find the time to take 2 hours to do all of that? But so we've been having a discussion about the Chinese credit system. Apparently, about 17.5 million discredited people have been restricted from buying plane tickets, and 5.5 million people were restricted from purchasing high-speed train tickets.
Yeah, they restrict your ability to travel if you're on this system. Now, most people don't even travel much at all, but still, if you get caught up in this, you could really be stuck.
I mean, that's certainly the danger of having all of these state-run transportation things, of having state-run buses and trains and airports, because the state, if it decides it doesn't like you, can restrict your ability to leave.
Right.
And of course, we already have that here in the United States with passports and the increasingly arbitrary reasons that they take people's passports away.
Yeah, now they'll take your passport away if you're behind on your taxes or your child support.
Yeah, you don't even get due process now. Or if, you just are a suspect of the FBI, I believe. I would be surprised if any of us could easily get a passport.
I've got a passport. It's still valid. They didn't.
Okay.
Well, in October, they didn't harass me at the border, so.
Well, they used to put people who, I think it was in 2008, they put Ron Paul supporters on the no-fly list.
I couldn't tell you whether I'm on the no-fly list or not, because I haven't had a reason to fly since 2004. So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a very long time ago anyway. It's probable that they have at least fixed that. A total of 3.5 million untrustworthy individuals and entities repaid their debts or paid off taxes and fines last year due to pressure from the social credit system. So,
they're making people pay off their loans or whatever, but
yeah, that's called positive reinforcement.
Yeah,
I don't like it. So the government beat you on the head, and you ultimately bowed to it, and you gave it what it wanted.
Right.
So that's going to tell the government that what it did was the right thing to do in order to get what it wants. So all it needs is more oppression. All it needs is to squeeze people a little harder.
Yeah,
and they will submit.
That's pretty much it. Now, I know you pulled this story up on your computer there. I don't know if you noticed. There's a second part to it. There's a totally separate article down below this one about where it's saying this thing isn't actually rolled out completely yet. It's supposed to be totally rolled out by the end of 2020, and they're describing in the second part of this article how people in small towns are affected by this, and some of it's just shocking because a lot of the people are saying they don't really care about the social credit system.
That's not surprising. We have people here in the United States who don't care about the privacy, but we have a call now from Coop on the Discord line. Coop, are you there?
Hey, I'm here.
Hey, how are you doing today? What did you call in to discuss with us?
Pretty good. You guys were talking about China, and I just have a lot of real-world experience with our generation growing up in this fog and stuff. And an example of how ignorant people are on China was I was taking an environmental ethics class, and we're talking about climate change and who pumps out what kind of gas. And then a student in the back, this is near the end of the class, raises her hand and says, well, how come China just doesn't turn off their coal-powered plants tomorrow? That's the extent to their, that's the depth of knowledge that our college students.
Well, I'm going to hope that you said college students there. You were kind of breaking up a little bit.
Yeah, we lost a few seconds of your audio there.
But I'm going to assume that you said college students and not colored students because it did sound more like colored. But Yeah, I mean, college students, I mean, they're not there to be educated. If somebody wants to be educated, there's nothing within the education system that is actually imperative to that process.
Right. Going to college is not how you. There are a few professions where you really need to go there, but for the most part, you go there to get propagandized.
Yeah, you get trained for a profession at the most by going to college. That was why I went and got a degree in the management of information systems, but I didn't actually learn anything there. All of the knowledge I've acquired about politics, economics, government, the state was gained, and philosophy, it was gained independently because I was interested in those subjects.
Oh, all the knowledge I gained about what I do for a living was outside of college after I dropped out. So there you go.
Yeah, mine was sort of am I clearer now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've spent like a decade in a community college there, going part-time, paying out of pocket. And it honestly, like, I thought that college was supposed to make everybody smarter. I mean, everyone that I know thought that college was supposed to almost be a free ticket to the middle class. But then, like, once I took about my 5th or 6th year in, I took a simple class called Logic and Critical Thinking, and my whole world changed.
Oh, they still offer that class? You got lucky.
I've said repeatedly here on the air that I think the logical absolutes are something that should be taught to elementary school students.
Critical thinking is something that we really need to be teaching as early as possible, but most people don't get exposed to it till college or not at all.
Yeah, and so what I agree with that. So what I do is I'm looking at my legislative bills for the area that I'm in here in Nebraska, and I can see that the senators are trying to pass quote-unquote Americanism type civics studies, and they just want to indoctrinate the students. This is to learn this, and to learn this. But I called up all the senators that supported that bill, and I was like, why do you want to teach them more information when they can't disseminate information from misinformation?
Well, we're about to go out to break, Coop. If you'd like to stick around, you're welcome to do that. This is the long break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. We'll either continue this discussion or move on to the crypto.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,336. Silver opened at $15.93, and Bitcoin is trading around $3,895. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high-availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, Bloomberg is reporting the Walt Disney Company, Nestle, and Fortnite creator Epic Games Inc. have paused their advertising spending on YouTube after a viral video report detailing an alleged softcore pedophilia ring operating via the platform's comment section. An alarming 20-minute report posted by video blogger Matt Watson on his YouTube channel Sunday purports to expose a wormhole into a softcore pedophilia ring on YouTube.
I have discovered a wormhole, as I would call it, into a softcore pedophile ring on YouTube. Pedophiles are trading social media contacts. They're providing links to actual child porn in YouTube comments. They're trading unlisted videos in secret. And YouTube's algorithm, through some kind of glitch or error in its programming, is actually facilitating their ability to do this.
In response to the deeply troubling report, YouTube says they took immediate action by deleting accounts and channels, reporting illegal activity to authorities, and disabling comments. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices, with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Bee listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Bee for Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Venezuela's armed forces have responded angrily to threats made against them by U.S. President Donald Trump and calls to break the chain of command. That's according to a report from Minpress News. Speaking at a press conference held in Caracas and flanked by commanders from all of the branches of the military, Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez told the press that Washington, quote, will not be able to install a puppet, an anti-patriotic government. They will have to step over our dead bodies first, end quote. Trump had warned Venezuelan soldiers that they risked losing everything should they continue loyal to Maduro at a press conference in Miami Monday. He once more urged them to recognize National Assembly President Juan Guaido as interim president, and yet again refused to rule out direct military action against Venezuela, stressing that all options are on the table. The U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled unanimously that the excessive fines clause in the Eighth Amendment applies to state and local governments. Announced in an opinion written by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on her second day back on the bench following a December cancer surgery, the ruling limits states' abilities to seize property and impose fines deemed excessive on citizens who break the law. The Mind Unleashed reports that other justices were highly critical of property seizures and fines, with Justice Clarence Thomas suggesting that civil forfeitures had become widespread and highly profitable. Despite their intentions of sweeping the deaths of Dennis and Regina Tuttle under the rug, the Houston Police Department is currently under the microscope of the nation. And the Free Thought Project reports that the FBI is stepping in, as well as Houston area prosecutors, who will examine 1,400 other cases which are linked to the cop who fabricated evidence to spark the raid that led to the couple's death. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow reporting for this Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
It's the Onion Radio News. An area man doesn't know what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. This is Doyle Redland reporting. After finishing his Big Bacon Classic combo, Erie, Pennsylvania resident and Wendy's patron Don Turnby, 38, expressed uncertainty today regarding what to do with all the extra ketchup packets. Turnby had asked for extra ketchup upon placing his order for a ketchup-necessitating Biggie fries.
Well, I knew it was too many ketchups because I usually only need 3 or 4 for my Biggie fries, but I just took them anyway.
At his nearby home, the Turnby pantry is crammed with hundreds of other restaurant condiments, including single-serving packets of Taco Bell mild sauce, Arby's horsey sauce, soy sauce, McDonald's Chicken McNuggets hot mustard sauce, pats of shed spread country crock from Ponderosa Steakhouse, and a selection of Smucker's jellies and jams from several area diners. Doyle Redland for the Onion Radio News, online at theonion.com.
The Call to Freedom is an opinion show. It's meant for informational purposes only. It is not licensed financial advice. It is very important to do your own analysis before making any investment based on your own personal circumstances. You should take independent financial advice from a professional in connection with or independently research and verify any information that you hear from the Call of Freedom and wish to rely upon, whether for the purpose of making an investment decision or otherwise. I mean, come on, guys. Duh. It's a cryptocurrency investment and a political talk radio. Of course, it's opinions.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. It is time for the Crypto Hour, but we're not going to move on into that yet because we actually have a caller on our Discord call line. We've also got someone on hold over here, so board is jumping today, which is always nice.
Yeah, it's nice.
We've been having a bit of a discussion recently about college education and brainwashing. You know, I was thinking during the break that it's not really all bad, and there is a certain subset among the college students that do become that sort of brainwashed SJW. But I work with a large number of college students. There's like 5 of us there who are not in college. And they're all liberals, sure, but they're liberals in a good way, what I would even call the New Hampshire way, which is that they're closer to libertarianism just innately than they are liberalism. I mean, sure,
You know, that's just how people are around here.
Yeah, they don't have an issue with trans people. They call me she, all of that. But at the same time, they're not all flipping out about the cisgender white male and the evil capitalist patriarchy and all of that kind of nonsense. It certainly does happen. It seems to happen more in these colleges that are known for it, like UC Berkeley. But it doesn't necessarily happen. So hold on one second, Coop. We're joined now by Jack in Texas. Jack, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
So hold on one second, Coop. We're joined now by Jack in Texas. Jack, how are you doing today?
Jack in Texas, you need to turn down your whatever you're listening on.
Okay, so yeah. Turn down whatever you're listening on so that we can hear you, and then we can retake the call. Okay. Well, we're going to give you a few minutes to sort that out. You got to turn this down because it's causing feedback and all of that, and it's not good radio. But Coop is still there. So, Coop, did you have any additional thoughts? You said before we went out or shortly after the break that you had other topics you wanted to discuss.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot to talk about what's been going on the past 10 years in college. Like another example of a lot of strange things happening are in the business ethics classes, because you would think business would be sort of, like maybe both on the left and right, but the teacher that I had was super on the left. She almost bashed Milton Friedman like once a week. She supported countries, I forgot the brand names and stuff, but would sell a shoe and then give a free shoe to people in Africa.
Just out of curiosity, what college did you attend? Was it one of these nationally known ones for putting out extremely leftist students, or was it just like a standard college or university?
This is just a regular community college. I guess I'd say regular, but it's just a standard community college, I guess. Even though on the walls of like the human communications classes, there would be a poster that talks about sex abuse, and then it would say, "Are you man enough to face the facts?" And that's like all the poster would say, and it's like, what the?
There was nothing else on that poster. No phone number. No nothing.
I went to the VP of the community college, and I took a snapshot of it on my phone.
I mean, what is that even supposed to mean?
Well, I mean, let's be realistic here. Sexual assault is primarily, and I don't know, I don't have these statistics in front of me, but it is largely committed by men.
Yeah, I don't have the statistics in front of me either.
So I wouldn't say that the poster targeting men regarding sexual assault is necessarily inaccurate. Just like most violent crimes are committed by men.
What bothers me about that poster is there's no call to action.
Yeah.
Are you man enough to face the facts? But okay, what facts and what do you want us to do?
Oh, there would be contact information for sure, but the part that irked me was that why are they sexizing a subject? Why when you look at a subject, why do you have to observe it through male and female or either or? It should, in my opinion, it's like that wasn't necessary. They could have said,
be a can of worms.
Look at these facts and look at them and analyze them. You don't have to point at one specific gender or something.
Well, Coop, here's the thing. Men are pigs.
You said that, not me.
I said that. Men are pigs. They are all rapey creeps.
I don't know about that.
And you don't want to let any of them get anywhere near you. Otherwise, you should blow your rape whistle. And
okay, so Michael is obviously being farcical there, facetious rather. He's not. There is this general perception among those leftists that that's true. Of course, we've mocked them here on the show, like the people who say that if you change your mind after the fact because you regret having had sex with someone, then it constitutes rape. There's a lot of that sort of mentality going around, but it isn't common. Not in my experience with people anyway. Most women that I know reject that as just absolute nonsense and a cheapening of actual rape victims.
Exactly.
But that's... Go ahead.
An interesting kind of ponderance about the rape issue. If you have a drunk male and a drunk female, and they go home and they have sex, well, they go to either person's home and have sex.
Okay.
Well, obviously,
you cut out again, but I think your question was...
I've heard this one before. I've heard this one before.
Yeah, if a drunk man and woman have sex and the woman wakes up and is like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, the man can go to prison for rape.
Yeah, because the woman was drunk, she couldn't consent. But, the man was drunk, and obviously he was... Because the woman was drunk, she couldn't consent. But because the man was drunk, he must have been raping her.
Yeah, it's a mentality that we reject here. There is certainly a middle ground between being able to take, and that's one of the issues, is that everything has become so extremist here in the United States, but there's certainly a middle ground here where you can reject sexual assault and you can recognize that it's predominantly committed by men without taking up that sort of insanity flag.
Yeah, why
says all
what
men
I
are
think
rapists.
you're asking is, why is there a double standard by gender?
Yeah, it's like, well, in my opinion, he didn't give her consent either. They both had sex. Maybe she wrote him.
Maybe neither of them consented.
Right.
Then who do you
she
arrest?
blew him.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't disagree with that perspective of it, that neither one of them can be fairly said to have raped the other. I mean, based on that story alone, where two people drunk have sex and the woman wakes up and decides that she regrets it or whatever, we certainly agree that the man did not rape her.
I'm pretty sure that's not a
question.
hypothetical, that I've actually read that one somewhere.
Yeah,
I may have to dig that up.
It's happened.
When psychologically speaking, when a woman does something she regrets, how long does she mentally suffer from that compared to how long does a man mentally suffer from doing something?
Neither. An emotion lasts a brief flash of a second, 2 to 3 seconds at the most. After that, it's your own negative thinking, your own dwelling of it that perpetuates it. So if you regret something, just accept that and move on. And that emotion, that regret, that emotional damage, as it were, only has to last as long as you allow it to last.
And I would challenge you on that answer because from my experience, not from my experience, but from my understanding, women tend to ponder and dwell on something that was a negative emotion for up to 24 hours to 72 hours on average, as compared to a man is basically over whatever that experience was on average 30 minutes.
Well, yeah, sure, but those women choose to do that. They choose to carry on that emotion by dwelling on it and just, think it's stewing in it rather than dealing with it and moving on in a productive and healthy manner. We'll be back in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.fm. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.fm.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcasting as always from Keene, New Hampshire. And we finally have Jack on the line with us again, and he's sorted out the volume issue. So, Jack, how's it going? There's still some.
Good.
I guess it was just me. So, what did you call in to discuss?
Well, when I'm hitting my brother from the back, sometimes my pee-pee gets...
Wow, what a waste of time. He sat there on hold for 15 minutes for that. Are you...
Yeah, what a waste.
That's actually sad, dude. I mean, there's trolling.
Come on, you got to up your game.
I mean, good Lord.
Those are rookie numbers.
So, anyway, back to Coop, I suppose, who is at least thankfully not trolling. I see. You were correct, Ian. Confused guy indeed.
Yeah, he's confused. So the answer to that is, I don't know.
I didn't hear the rest of his question because I dropped the call once. I mean, he was thankfully, there was no profanity
Thankfully, there was
in
no
it,
profanity,
so
but that's just not a call we're going to continue because, well...
He's quite obviously not being
serious. Figure that one out on your own.
I mean, if you were actually having sex with your brother, I mean, that would be something worth discussing. I would have that discussion with you if you weren't trolling. I would not agree that it's a good idea, but we can certainly have that discussion about whether or not liberty allows you to bang your brother. But you can't be
whether
trolling.
Your brother allows you to bang your brother.
Touche. So, Coop, sorry about that. We've been having a discussion about college education, brainwash liberalism, and the sort of insanity among the modern left in general. Did you have anything else you wanted to discuss on the topic?
I think a lot of this leftist rhetoric permeates from the teachers and the teacher unions all across the country.
I can't agree or disagree. I know when I went to college, there were a few teachers who I was able to identify instantly as being leftist, and I was able to milk that for easy bonus points, you know?
Yeah.
But I also, when I did my term paper for English Lit 4, the instructor was a Republican and all about Reaganomics and things like that. And my term paper was on the free market and deregulation.
Deregulation?
Yeah, thank you.
And I definitely have a lot of right-leaning professors that teach, macroeconomics and history and stuff like that. But it's just like the kids are being taught not in a fair way, not in a middle way, but they're being taught Kantian ethics, and they're being taught left-leaning things coming from a leftist sort of base. Whereas like the teachers on the right start from like a rightist sort of base. And I'm not saying that the teachers on the right are correct because they're on the right. They shouldn't be doing what they do either. For example, I've saw my conservative teachers say stuff like, and this is what you Bernie Sanders people don't understand.
Well, I mean, this is an issue with our whole myth about education, really. You cannot simply educate someone. The American education system doesn't do it, and I'm not aware of any sort of institution that could do it, even in theory. What they are doing is raising children, and they do teach them facts and information in addition to that, but there is no doubt whatsoever that what the elementary schools, what the high schools, and what the colleges do is they are raising people.
Yeah, the minimum what they do is basically the minimum that they need to teach somebody so that they can be a nice, good little corporate drone.
And that's instilled in them from the beginning. Like we had career discovery and crap like that when I was in school, and I can only imagine what it's like now.
Yeah, I went to school in the 80s, so I actually had like shop class and home economics and an economics 101 class that taught things like supply and demand. But, those things are disappearing now.
But I mean, it's not possible to even eliminate those things. At most, what a parent could do is homeschool their children. And even doing that, all they're doing is imposing their own worldviews. It won't be any more fair and balanced in their home than it will be in the school.
True.
It comes down to the individual's own thirst for the truth, leading them to alternative viewpoints.
Right. And the thing about critical thinking, to bring this back around to the beginning, is that it's something that really doesn't get taught much anymore. And I think it should.
Absolutely. A lot could be done if we taught people the logical absolutes and the sort of, I hate the word transcendence, but it does apply to them because they are independent of perception, which is what makes them transcendent. But they are also the foundation of all knowledge. In order to know something, you have to be able to have clear rules on what that entails. And the logical absolutes are the basis of all of that. And most people have no idea what they even are or what they mean or why they're important.
Yeah, I have no idea what you just said. I'm a simple person and I talk for simple people. So,
I mean, but you are aware of them. You may not be able to identify them, but I mean, it's like A equals A. That's the first logical absolute, the law of identity, is that a thing is itself. And you would think that such an obvious tautology wouldn't need to be stated, but it clearly does because...
Because some people don't believe that.
Yeah, not having that, not understanding that, and not appreciating that is what causes this widespread cognitive dissonance.
Well, I think it's the full implications of that people don't get.
Well, hold on. You guys are right on top of it, so I have to butt in and say this terminology that will just put all of this together. It's called knowledge and...
You cut out there for a minute. Can you... It's called knowledge what?
It's called knowledge integration.
Knowledge integration.
They have to be able to take what they have learned in math and logic and critical thinking and English and be able to apply them throughout, because logic and critical thinking is where English or like language and written language meets up with math, because you come up to an absolute way of arguing that either makes sense or it doesn't in a written form. And so when you integrate all of that together, it gives them a big
interrupt, but is that not the argument that they put forward when they gave us Common Core? Is that not verbatim the argument they put forward?
It does sound familiar.
That we have to integrate
I might be too young
with language and things like that?
Yeah, I miss Common Core, so, I'm not 100% sure on that. But
language in regards to words, it's certainly imprecise and it's weak. You can't prove something with words. Mathematics is the domain of proof and things like that. And that's because mathematics as a whole is an artificial construct, so it sort of transcends perception as well. 2 plus 2 is going to equal 4, regardless of one's perceptions.
Well, some people will perceive it differently.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they perceive it differently, because the results of that are going to manifest the same way either way. If you take 2 of these and 2 of these, then by definition, they become 4 of those.
Are you saying that facts don't care about your feelings?
That's exactly what I'm saying. Because
well, let's say, for example, you're right next to a black hole in a spaceship, and you have time dilation happening, and you record 2 seconds, whereas someone on Earth who is away from the time dilation effect records 2 seconds, and it's drastically different. That is an example of how 2 plus 2 would not equal 4 in any way, shape, or form.
I will tell you why we're wrong, why you're wrong, when we get back in a minute.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. convictions. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org. When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Everyone in Pennington is talking about it. Something smells like weed in that back part of the library. Head librarian Cookie Stevens and library volunteers Margaret Mosier and Gail Fredericks were in the middle of discussing the upcoming used book saleganza when they smelled something strange.
So Dad said he smelled marijuana somewhere, and we're like shocked. Yeah. And so Doug goes, "Do you smell it?"
Without any way to confirm that the smell was indeed weed, Cookie Stevens called her husband, Sheriff Stevens, who called in local ceramics teacher Dutch Gibbs, who lived in Seattle for a few months in the 70s.
Yeah, that's weed.
Sheriff Stevens has begun compiling a list of potential suspects, including that boy Lance, who has girl hair and hangs out down by the quarry, Greg Fromke, who was spotted this evening really going to town on some potato skins at Steaky Jake's Steakhouse, and Mr. Thompson. Luckily, one young reading enthusiast seemed unperturbed by the illicit smell.
Yeah, I don't smell anything. I really love the library.
The weed smell comes on the heels of last month's discovery of a gigantic pair of women's underpants in the children's fiction section. According to Stevens, that case remains open as well.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
You are listening to The Call to Freedom live on LRN.fm. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.fm.
Something in here's not right today. Why am I so uptight today? Paranoia is all I got left. I don't know what stressed me first.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. I'd like to invite you to give us a like on Facebook at the Call to Freedom. You can find us there by doing a search term for that, or you can find us on Twitter using Call to Freedom LRN with the number 2 instead of the letter 2. I actually have a solution to this. CTF_LRN. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah. Or just CTFLRN. Any of that will work. And
rename it to something, right?
Yep. Or on Mastodon or Liberdon, technically. You can find us there by using @CallToFreedom. So definitely follow us on those places to keep up with what we're up to, like just our show, what kind of things we're interested in, show clips, as well as me streaming random crap to Twitch.
Yeah.
Always interesting. But we had
Zelda?
a question.
Whatever.
Yeah, usually Zelda, to be honest. We had a question before we went out to break about black holes and time dilation, and the difference in measurement that would result from a 1 second, 2 seconds on Earth being measured against 2 seconds while orbiting a black hole. Because obviously to stay in orbit around a black hole, you're going to have to move much faster, and there's also spatial dilation as a result of the black hole, and all of that affects time. That's why we call it space-time, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's a really interesting question, but regardless of what quantity of time passes relative to each other, each of them are going to identify it as being 2 seconds. The example I gave during the break when I just kept running my mouth was that if you have two people each with 2 jars, and one person's jar has 50 pennies in it, in both of them, and the other person's jar has 500 pennies in each of them, they still each have 2 jars. Even if relative to each other, they have different amounts of pennies.
You know, I thought I had a better example, which is one person has 2 gummy worms and another person has 2 gummy worms but has stretched them out.
Yeah, that's equally true, equally valid. But the difference that they're having, they're each going to come up with 2 seconds as the amount of time that elapses. Relative to each other, those seconds are going to be wildly different. That's why Einstein called his theory the theory of, actually that would be special relativity. But yeah, that's why he called it the theory
because
of relativity.
It's relative.
Yeah, because it's all relative. Our own measurements here of time here on Earth are not like static or objective or anything like that. In fact, we're experiencing spatial and time dilation right now.
Even they change a bit. The time that's, as I understand it, the time that's recorded on the geosynchronous GPS satellites, or the GPS satellites, is like a billionth of a second slower than the time on the surface.
Yes, they include special relativity in their calculations of time, because if they don't, because the satellites are moving faster than Earth is, then they become desynchronized. So, I mean, it's certainly real. It's been observable, but, you know, it can be calculated. And the amount of time here on Earth is simply relative to the amount of time for this person orbiting the black hole. And even if the raw quantities that they come up with are different, like for this person, it's hard to explain because there is no objective measurement of time. But for this person, it lasted what we would consider to be 2 seconds. But while we watched here from Earth this play out for this guy up there, even though that's itself is impossible, it would appear to us to take much longer.
Yeah, a few centuries or something.
But for that guy orbiting the black hole, it still only took 2 seconds.
So how did we get into this in the first place?
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, it was supposed to be an example of how 2 plus 2 didn't equal 4. But it does, because you can take those 2 jars and add them to 50 pennies and add them to the 2 jars of 500 pennies, and you still have 4 jars.
Okay. I've got 4
I won't
worms.
lie. I still want to talk about it. We don't need to. I'm trying to think of where we were before that.
Yeah,
we were discussing the failure of the logical absolutes being taught to college kids or to elementary kids in general. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the knowledge integration. So it's like we're being taught a lot of information, it seems like, but then we can't integrate what we have learned from one class to another one. And you had mentioned something about core.
Common Core?
Yeah, I'm not even, I don't know Common Core.
How old are you, if you don't mind?
31.
Okay, yeah, then you're after Common Core as well.
You missed Common Core.
So was I. I missed it, but I'm watching my sister deal with it with her kids, and some of it's absolutely ridiculous. I can pull up some of the examples here, and these are just normal, everyday examples of crap that he's being sent home with. And remember, keeping in mind that I literally majored in general relativity through part of college, and I took and passed calculus. I'm looking at these third grade math problems going, what are they talking about? And that's largely the point of it, is to, well, they peddled it as unification of all of these different subjects and tying them together and all of that. But the truth of the matter is that, they just want to confuse students. They want to make parents look dumb so that the students think that the education system is what has all of the answers. And so that they become dependent on it for answers and don't listen to their parents.
So it's meant to confuse and mislead so that people will put their trust in authority figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The same ones who made the crap. Here we go, right here. In numbers 1 through 6, find each sum, simplify if possible, estimate for reasonableness.
What?
Yeah. That was the part that threw me. And I even said, WTF does estimate for reasonableness mean? And my sister goes, I don't know. I didn't even read that part because the whole thing is just nonsense. Like, here's question 11.
1 through 6 what?
Which is a good comparison of the estimated sum and the actual sum of 7 and 9/12 plus 2 and 11/12. And it wants you to compare the estimated sum to the actual sum as though there's only one way to estimate those in the first place.
What? Okay, you can estimate that many different ways. So what way were they taught? And what does
exactly.
it have?
It's teaching them to limit their own thinking.
Why are they being taught to estimate a sum when they could just be taught how to add?
Yeah, that would be better. But I thought that as well. Why are we even bringing estimates into this when, your job is literally to teach them how to add these things so they don't have to estimate. Like in the real world, I would look at that and say, okay, it's basically 8 plus 3. That would be my estimate. But I don't know how they're estimating it. Are they just dropping the fractions altogether?
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing.
Maybe they're adding them differently, like the whole numbers, and then you add the fractional number. So you say like 8 and 13/12.
Well, that's kind of how you'd actually do the adding. But that's if you're just going to do that, then where's the estimating come in? My thinking on that is the estimating has to be something else.
Yeah, they have a clear definition of how you're supposed to estimate, and that's what they're teaching their students.
And what's the point when you can just add?
Well, I mean, it's worse than that. You shouldn't teach people how to round properly. Well, maybe how to round properly, because that is somewhat useful. But not how to
rounding
estimate
is useful
properly. Not how to vaguely guesstimate something properly. That's intuitive. It comes from the gut and from the brain.
Vaguely guesstimating something when you can just, it would take less effort to just learn how to add the thing in the first place.
And they seem to be intentionally training that out of kids. And it's that Common Core nonsense that a lot of libertarians hate. I'm not even enough of an expert on the subject. I just see the examples my sister posts. I mean, this is a 9-year-old kid being told this crap.
Yeah, I see 4th grade math right there. So
oh yeah, he's in the 4th grade, not the 3rd. But it's absolutely ridiculous. It's asinine, and it's counterproductive to any sort of actual gaining knowledge and the ability to think. And I think that's what concerns me the most about it. Well, we'll get back. We've got to get into the crypto hour a bit. Thanks for giving us a call today, Coop. You're welcome to give us a call anytime. This is the Call to Freedom. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your get intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
Did you know that Free Aid is a mutual aid, educational, and networking organization? At Free Aid, we support volunteers who provide first aid. We do outreach to the public about health and safety, and we bring together medically skilled freedom lovers. Free Aid is made possible by your generous support. Donors can receive great gifts like first aid kits, t-shirts, silver dime cards, and hoodies. The Free Aid Silver Dime Card Project is sponsored in part by Roberts & Roberts Brokerage, Freedom's Phoenix, and Don't Tread on Meme. Visit fr33aid.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Angel Clark, and you're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, broadcasting as always from Keene, New Hampshire. We actually have an update for you, going to get something out of the crypto hour while it's still around. An update on Quadriga CX. Now, for those who weren't listening or who don't remember, Quadriga CX is a Canadian exchange that had an owner who went to India, to a place in India that is notorious for helping people fake their deaths, whereupon he died in quotation marks, and it
supposedly
turned out
took all of the exchange's crypto with him.
Yes, because apparently he was the only one who had the private keys, and people who have looked into it have disputed the notion that Quadriga even has this crypto in the first place. So it's been a total mess, a total fiasco up there in Canada, and we would like to take the opportunity to remind you not to keep your cryptocurrency on an exchange.
No.
Because that's how this happens. Do you want to lose your cryptocurrency? Because that's how you lose your cryptocurrency.
You only keep crypto on an exchange long enough to exchange it.
Yep. And then you move it right back out. But according to news.bitcoin.com, the Quadriga CX cold wallet was stored in a safety deposit box. In a 2014 appearance on the True Bromance podcast, Jerry Cotton, the late CEO of embattled Canadian cryptocurrency exchange Quadriga CX, made comments indicating that the exchange was storing customer funds using paper wallets. Cotton also compared losing the private keys for a Bitcoin wallet to burning cash. You think?
Yeah, so apparently, so you think this guy actually did know what he was doing. So this guy said this back in 2014?
Yeah, on a bromance podcast.
Bromance?
Why
is this Bitcoin exchange guy on a bromance podcast?
That's just what it was called, apparently.
It was called bromance, but it wasn't about bromances? I
don't know. I've never. It's called the
Bitcoin bromances.
It's called the True Bromance Podcast.
The True Bromance.
I don't know anything about it beyond that.
Okay, well,
with Cotton having supposedly comprised the sole individual tasked. Oh God, why would you even use the word comprised in reference to an individual? Anyway, he was the only person managing Quadriga CX's keys. Roughly $195 billion in funds owed to 115,000 people. While speaking on a podcast published March the 12th, 2014, Cotton stated that the exchange held his customer funds offline using paper wallets. He said, at Quadriga CX, we're obviously holding a bunch of Bitcoins that belong to other people who have put them onto our exchange. So what we do is we basically store them in offline paper wallets in our bank's vault in a safety deposit box because that's the best way to keep the coins secure. By putting them into a bank.
Literally.
I'm not sure I agree with his assessment.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's the best way to make it secure because at least in most countries, the state can get into a safe deposit box when they really, really want to.
They absolutely can. Citing the benefits of paper wallets, Cotton continued, essentially, we put a bunch of paper wallets into the safety deposit box. Remember the addresses of them. So we just send the money to them. We don't need to go back to the bank every time we want to put money into it. We just send money from our Bitcoin app directly to those paper wallets and keep it safe that way. So it sounds like he's kind of explaining it to a child, which is good. That's how you would want an exchange CEO
that's how you'd want. That's how you'd want to keep Bitcoins offline too. It sounds reasonable.
Other than the bank part.
Well, it's. I guess if you're an exchange and you're actually cooperating with the governments, that's not too unreasonable. If you're a person who's keeping your own Bitcoin secure because you're investing in it or you're hodling or you're waiting for the apocalypse, you don't want that in a safe deposit. You don't want anything in a bank safe deposit box because you may not be able to get to that when the brown stuff hits the fan.
Well, Cotton asserted that the best way to store one's private key, keeping in mind for the less technologically aware out there, the private keys are what they need to access the Bitcoin that allegedly they have and that belongs to other people, is to print it off, store it offline in your safety deposit box, vault, whatever, and then take the public key, which is your address, and use that to send money to it, obviously. You only need the private key to access, I think, transaction history and to send.
Well, history is public on the blockchain. You only need the private key to send.
It's the balance that
and
you get.
to do a digital signature.
Okay.
Like to prove you own that address.
At any rate, what he's saying here suggests that the private key could be in their safety deposit box.
This company actually has this guy wasn't just blowing smoke?
Well, we won't know, and I doubt we'll ever know, but I think that he does not. I think it's going to turn out that they may find paper wallets there. They may find the private keys to paper wallets there.
And that Bitcoin might actually be long gone.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to find $195 million worth of cryptocurrency there.
Yeah, probably not.
At most, I think it'll be 10% of that. That's at most. Well, Quadriga CX's co-founder compared losing the private key to the Bitcoin wallets to burning cash, adding, even the U.S. government, with the biggest computers in the world, could not retrieve those coins if you've lost the private key. It's impossible to retrieve them. And then the article just kind of ends. What?
So
how was that the end of the article?
There's not even speculation there. This is all just about what this guy said back in 2014 about what the company was doing with its cold wallets.
Yeah, that is absolutely jarring to have it just cut off right there.
Right. You need to do a little more reporting. Like, where'd the company have its bank? Where's the safe deposit box? I mean, you need to make a few more phone calls. Yep. You the journalist.
But based on everything we know, I'm going to say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, until I see them drill into it and pull the paper out, I'm going to agree with you.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't exist.
It may have existed at one point, but we also know that he was moving a lot of Ethereum, at least, off of what appears to be cold storage.
Right.
Back before his death. So I wouldn't be surprised to find that, and the blockchain researchers who looked into it were unable to identify any addresses that may have been Quadriga CX's Bitcoin's cold storage.
Right. If they were sending money to a cold storage address like this guy was describing, those addresses should have come up in an analysis.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you can't hide anything on the blockchain. You can't say, "Oh, well, we always send Bitcoin to this cold address storage," and not have people.
Those transactions should be visible, and there's nothing.
It's going to be there, and the researchers at least were not able to find it. They were able to find a number of Ethereum addresses
and some possible hot wallets, but nothing.
Yeah, they identified all of the HD wallets that were likely to belong to Quadriga CX, but none of them at any point held the amount of Bitcoin that they were supposed to hold.
Right.
So I'm thinking, based on everything we know about this dude, he went to India, he cashed out, and he faked his own death.
He cashed out what little he could get hold of because, like you were saying, this $190 million probably doesn't exist. The company actually owed like $28 million to its customers, to its creditors, and that's why he disappeared. Because
and people were having a hard time cashing out before he died.
Because probably what was going on is he was just skimming the Bitcoin for years.
Oh, I'm sure he was. Well, I mean, generally that's how exchanges make their money, except they're a bit more upfront and honest about it.
Well, they're not. Well, what I think happens is instead of him sending this money to the cold wallet, he was sending it to his own secret wallet that he'd run off with later when he faked his own death.
I mean, they weren't even a proper exchange. They were
not a proper exchange. How did they work then?
They were an intermediary.
Okay, did they just process payments, or did they exchange between Bitcoin?
They didn't process their own payments. That was part of the money they owed. You created an account with them, and they went and they purchased the cryptocurrency from Kraken was one of them. Bittrex and Bitfinex were others.
Okay.
So they simply went to an exchange for you.
Okay,
so that cryptocurrency.
Okay, so they weren't an exchange themselves. They were a customer of an exchange that they would exchange on your behalf.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why Kraken has looked into the wallet addresses on their servers that are associated with Quadriga CX to try to help the customers who got screwed over. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
More of the Call to Freedom is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for liberty news and activist updates, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,336. Silver opened at $15.93. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,895. Today's prices are brought to you by InnoScale. Take off with Managed Cloud. Looking for a safe, secure way to store your important files online? Let InnoScale handle it for you. Their high availability cloud servers are the perfect solution for clients needing one or more secure, scalable servers with built-in hardware failover protection. For details, see them online at innoscale.net. In the news, Bloomberg is reporting the Walt Disney Company, Nestle, and Fortnite creator Epic Games Inc. have paused their advertising spending on YouTube after a viral video report detailing an alleged softcore pedophilia ring operating via the platform's comment section. An alarming 20-minute report posted by video blogger Matt Watson on his YouTube channel Sunday purports to expose a wormhole into a softcore pedophilia ring on YouTube.
I have discovered a wormhole, as I would call it, into a softcore pedophile ring on YouTube. Pedophiles are trading social media contacts. They're providing links to actual child porn in YouTube comments. They're trading unlisted videos in secret. And YouTube's algorithm, through some kind of glitch or error in its programming, is actually facilitating their ability to do this.
In response to the deeply troubling report, YouTube says they took immediate action by deleting accounts and channels, reporting illegal activity to authorities, and disabling comments. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more at mybravebotanicals.com. And right now, Liberty Beat listeners can save 10% by using promo code SNLS at checkout. This is the Liberty Beat for Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Venezuela's armed forces have responded angrily to threats made against them by U.S. President Donald Trump and calls to break the chain of command. That's according to a report from Minpress News. Speaking at a press conference held in Caracas and flanked by commanders from all of the branches of the military, Defense Minister Vladimir Pedrino Lopez told the press that Washington, quote, will not be able to install a puppet in anti-patriotic government. They will have to step over our dead bodies first, end quote. Trump had warned Venezuelan soldiers that they risked losing everything should they continue loyal to Maduro at a press conference in Miami Monday. He once more urged them to recognize National Assembly President Juan Guaido as interim president, and yet again refused to rule out direct military action against Venezuela, stressing that all options are on the table. The U.S. Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled unanimously that the excessive fines clause in the Eighth Amendment applies to state and local governments. Announced in an opinion written by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on her second day back on the bench following a December cancer surgery, the ruling limits states' abilities to seize property and impose fines deemed excessive on citizens who break the law. The Mind Unleashed reports that other justices were highly critical of property seizures and fines, with Justice Clarence Thomas suggesting that civil forfeitures had become widespread and highly profitable. Despite their intentions of sweeping the deaths of Dennis and Regina Tuttle under the rug, the Houston Police Department is currently under the microscope of the nation. And the Free Thought Project reports that the FBI is stepping in, as well as Houston area prosecutors, who will examine 1,400 other cases which are linked to the cop who fabricated evidence to spark the raid that led to the couple's death. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. Just send an email to libertybeat@snls.news for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. The Liberty Beat is online at libertybeat.news and snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for this Thursday, February 21st, 2019. Reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
While Digital Communications Coordinator Brian Tyler is considered by many of his coworkers to be the cutest guy around the offices of Western Psychological Publishing Services, employees conceded today the 27-year-old is not even particularly attractive.
Brian gets a lot of attention from girls around here, but if I saw him in a bar, I don't know if I would even notice him. Put him next to Glenn or Mike, and then, sure, he actually looks pretty good.
Co-workers explained to reporters that by everyday standards, Tyler would at best be considered moderately good-looking, but explained that given the abundance of unattractive men at the publishing firm, female employees often go out of their way to make small talk with the 27-year-old at his desk or eat lunch with him in the office kitchen.
I saw him walking to work the other day, and half the guys on the street were easily better looking than him. But here, he's the hottest guy around. It's almost kind of sad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd still him.
This is the Onion News Network.
You're listening to The Call to Freedom on LRN.FM.
تستمتعون إلى برنامج نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. It is the, it is not the crypto hour, sorry. Automatic brain to mouth conversion thing going on there. I'm joined in the studio today, of course, by
Michael.
How are you doing today?
I am still just wonderful. The sun has just set in Keene, New Hampshire. It is warm. The snow is melting. It is almost springtime.
Well, it is not warm out there right now.
Oh, it's not?
No.
You were just out there because you do that whole smoking thing.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I like my lung cancer.
I gave it up.
It's a good way. It's as good a way to die as any. But so this morning I was talking to a friend of mine. I won't get into the whole thing there, but he said something. He gave me a warning essentially that he felt like he was about to go into a depressive state. And so he was probably going to be a little distant and withdrawn and quiet and things like that. And I was like, well, it's good that, you informed me of this, because with my anxiety, I would assume that you were angry with me or that I had upset you or something like that. And that made me realize, as I sat there thinking about it, that that's just another way to say narcissism, really.
Wait, so if you're anxious, you're a narcissist?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. Sure. I've been phrasing it the way I have simply to make people butthurt, and it seems to have been effective. But yes,
I'm not butthurt, but I am thinking. I'm curious. I'm wondering what you mean by that.
The assumption would be that he was upset with me, or that I had done something. His emotional state was dependent upon me.
Okay, so
that's where the anxiety and narcissism are 100% related.
Okay, so what you're saying, I think, is that you're being anxious. I had this all laid out in my head, and then I saw a police car outside, and then it just disappeared. So
But yeah, I mean, that's essentially it, is that my being anxious is a result of me assuming that this other person's
emotional state was caused by you.
Yes. When I mean, realistically, it could be anything. And that's the key theme with anxiety. Is
the thing is, he gave you that warning because it wasn't because of you.
Right. Well, he gave me that warning for other reasons.
And other reasons, sure.
But yeah, that was certainly it, is that it had nothing to do with me. He's aware of my anxiety issues. So, I mean, that was really considerate of him to let me know in advance that I hadn't pissed him off. But yeah, it all comes down to that assumption. Like when I would smoke weed back in the day, the reason I stopped smoking was because it just took my innate anxiety and cranked it up to unbelievable levels, where to the point where somebody sitting next to me sending a text message would make me automatically assume that they were texting someone something negative about me. And that's a key. That's a common belief among people who struggle with anxiety, is that sort of thing. Oh, this person's whispering. It's probably about me. This person's texting.
Yeah, they're probably
it's
talking
probably about me. And that is
nothing good.
And that is narcissism. I don't know any other way. And people are like, but narcissism implies self-love. Not necessarily. It involves self-obsession. Self-love is one of the ways that can manifest, but self-hate is also one of those ways. People obsess over the self, and as a result, they constantly doubt themselves and assume that any unhappiness or discontentment among people around them is a result of them and their own actions, instead of something that's more than likely entirely unrelated to them.
Yeah, self-obsessed is what I thought narcissism was. I guess I don't fully understand it.
That's the way I've always understood it to mean, and I believe that's the psychological definition of it. Not the definition, because the definition is longer than that, but yeah, it's going to be about self-obsession rather than, self-love or self-hate, because plenty of these people, these notorious narcissists like Ted Bundy and things like that, I don't think Ted Bundy hated himself, but we do have many examples of narcissists, people with narcissistic personality disorder, who, for them, it manifested in self-hate, or it stemmed from self-hate. Any of those sort of things.
Now, did Ted Bundy suffer from anxiety?
I don't know if he did or not. I know he had narcissistic personality disorder.
Yeah, I knew about that.
But I mean, one can certainly be a narcissist without suffering from anxiety.
Okay.
I would say that it would depend on whether or not one takes the self-love or the self-hate route. And I don't think I'm a narcissist, but there's certainly a narcissistic leaning to having anxiety to that degree and in that manner, where, somebody just having a conversation around me that's quiet makes me automatically assume that it's about me. It's not healthy, certainly.
No, it's not.
And it's what people with anxiety struggle with. But the solution is, as I was alluding to on Facebook, and as somebody else mentioned in agreement with me, the solution is to deal with one's own ego and recognize that the world does not revolve around one, and that other people and their emotional states can be entirely unrelated. That conversation people are having, it's more than likely entirely unrelated to you. Get over yourself. And of course, that phrase, get over yourself, it doesn't help people with anxiety. But
that doesn't help anybody.
But that's what it ultimately comes down to, is that, people with anxiety or people with depression or anything like that, serious self-reflection is ahead of them, because all of that is coming from somewhere. You can't just shove a bunch of pills down their throat and make it all go away.
Well, you can try.
You can numb it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make it go away. At the end of the day, they're going to have to deal with that. They're going to have to go into their own inner labyrinth, to borrow some Joseph Campbellian stuff. They're going to have to go into their own labyrinth, and they're going to have to face that minotaur, and they're going to have to overcome it or be destroyed by it and become a Ted Bundy themselves.
And let's not.
Yeah, ideally, they would have the strength and the fortitude to slay the minotaur. But I mean, yeah, certainly, if they have the strength and internal fortitude to even face that darkness within themselves in the first place, then they have the strength and capability to overcome it. But I think the widespread depression, anxiety, and things like that, because we talk about we don't talk about that, but the news talks about an epidemic of depression and things like that. It's a result of a lack of self-reflection and a lack of willingness among people to deal with their own inner demons.
So just to be clear, is medication just not good for anyone, or is it just overused, or
that? It's not my call to make. I've heard it helps people. It did not help me.
Okay.
In the end, it hurt me in the long run, I would argue, because instead of dealing with repressed being trans stuff, I was made normal by having pills shoved down my throat.
So the pills, more or less, the pills suppressed you and prevented you from dealing with your issues.
Yeah. And that seems to be kind of the point of the pills. And, they have the therapy sessions and all of that, but I've met a number of psychologists. I was institutionalized once, and I've never met a psychologist who was in a hurry, or a therapist who was in a hurry to do anything except lump me into one of these groups she learned about in college. The second I told the therapist that, I just slipped my wrist for attention, bam. She immediately lumped me into that category because I went in there thinking, okay, this is going to be it. I'm going to open up. I'm going to be honest with them. And not 5 minutes into a conversation with this woman did I realize that she wasn't listening to me. She was filtering everything I said into one of these archetypes that she had studied in college so that she could more easily understand me and figure out what to prescribe me.
Right.
And that's what they do. There are some therapists out there who are better than that. But by and large, that's what they do. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they're taught to do because that's the education system as we were discussing. It trains people to sort of fall into these ruts.
Yeah, they've got a little script in their head, and that sounds a whole lot like, the Comcast tech support where they tell you to turn it off and on again. They're just following a little script.
Yep. Well, we'll be back on the Call to Freedom, so don't go anywhere in just a few minutes.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
What do you shop for that you could otherwise buy at Amazon? Pretty much everything, right? Amazon has competitive pricing and they deliver, and that's a big plus. If you could plan ahead in your shopping, would you be interested in saving up to 33%? There's a catch. You have to do your shopping in Bitcoin. But imagine those savings. It's like a huge raise. All you have to do is go to saveitpurse.com. We've saved thousands, and you can too. Plan ahead and save. Saveitpurse.com. Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
If you're looking for work, you know what I mean by elevator speech. It's the short version, saying just enough to make the listener want to listen more. Even if you're not a job seeker, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. So to cut through the clutter, choose every single word as though it was the last word the person you're speaking to will hear. Otherwise, it might be. Instead of saying, due to the fact that, say, because. And avoid mispronunciations. Say jewelry, not jewelry, which could offend. Undoubtedly, you don't want to say undoubtedly. And whatever you do, never use a preposition to end a sentence with. Just kidding. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. आप सुन रहे हैं स्वतंत्रता की पुकार सिर्फ और सिर्फ LRN.FM पे।
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. I want to invite you to give us a call at 603-283-6160. Again, that's 603-283-6160. If you'd like to weigh in on anything we've discussed today, or if you'd like to bring up an entirely new topic, we don't really care. Just don't troll us. We do have a dump button. So if you attempt to call us to do that and you think you're going to get some profanity out on the air, I'm sorry to disappoint you. You'll go out on Twitch, but you're not going out on the air. You can also use our call-in line over on Discord, which is discord.lrn.fm, to get better quality. That's what Coop was using earlier, and the sound quality was drastically improved from what you get with a landline.
Yeah, except I think his push-to-talk settings needed a little work. He was cutting out.
Yeah, he was cutting out. There was some packet loss, I think. But anyway, continuing on with a theme that we've been going with all week, which is the theme of forgiveness. We didn't get into this in the first hour because we ended up talking about China and video games and all of that. Cardinal Tagle at an abuse summit wants to know how we balance justice and forgiveness. Now, those who have been following this discussion know that when they say justice, what they mean is our animalistic lust for punishment, which I would agree is kind of hard to balance with forgiveness.
Those are kind of mutually, those are kind of North Pole, South Pole. They're a little far apart.
Yeah, it's a seesaw, definitely. If you have forgiveness, then you have nothing over on the... Yeah, okay, that fell apart. But Cardinal Louis Tagle of the Philippines urged bishops to reflect on the wounds of the risen Christ as they chart how best to serve survivors and to consider the role that forgiveness plays in their deliberations. I assume he's referring to sexual assault survivors, which, God, I hate the word survivor being used in that context.
Yeah, victims. You really do need to be a little more specific there because people survive lots of things.
Yeah,
and
but
it's not clear.
You're not a survivor if your life is not threatened.
For some rando who just happens to be sent a link to this article and reads it, especially this is looks like this is like a Christian website. Somebody sent this link and just sees the word survivors out of context, what kind of survivors are we talking about? Sexual abuse survivors, car accident survivors?
Well, the second paragraph does detail that it's about sexual abuse, but I still dispute the usage of the word survivor in this context because there was never any threat to their life.
I imagine in sexual abuse there might have been sometimes a threat to the life.
Maybe in some cases, sure, but in and of itself, sexual abuse does not contain a threat to one's life. Choking up several times during his roughly 30-minute speech, the Filipino cardinal urged church leaders not to turn away from the wounds experienced by those who survived sexual abuse in the church. There is rampant sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. That's something we've covered rather extensively, but I mean, it's just so prevalent and so common now that we don't even point to recent news stories about it. We just go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we could make this 3 hours of just reading the names of people who are accused of sexual abuse in the church as they come out, because there's so many news stories now.
The only institution that's probably more prevalent with sexual assault perpetrators is probably the police.
Yeah, the police.
But we need to put aside any hesitation to draw close to the wounds of our people out of fear of being wounded ourselves, he said. Our people need us to draw close to their wounds and acknowledge our faults if we are to give authentic and credible witness to our faith in the resurrection. I think what would give more credibility to your faith would be not raping people.
Yeah, that's a good start.
God, this is so repetitious. We should also be aware that victim survivors suffer great stress, heightened anxiety and depression, lowered self-images, and interpersonal conflicts that arise from the inner brokenness. And tragically, all of this has led some to suicide.
Okay, well, if you've had a sexual assault and you kill yourself, I guess you didn't survive that.
Yeah.
So survivors may be a good word for that after all.
Well, again, in some cases, some people struggle. Some people never take the suicidal approach. I mean, Willis talked about it on the air. He was sexually assaulted, and I don't think he's ever used the term survivor in relation to that. We are not suggesting that they just let it all go, excuse the abuse, and move on. No, far from it. But we also know that when victims come to a moment of forgiving others who have harmed them, a deeper healing takes place, and they reach a place of peace. He's absolutely right about that. It's imperative that one be able to forgive a transgressor because that is the cause of inner peace. That is how you heal and come to terms with whatever has happened. I cannot for the life of me figure out why one would want to do that, though. That's something I've been struggling with this entire week, and previous to this week, in fact, is that, you know, there's really no good reason for me to outline on why it's better to forgive someone than to harbor a grudge against them to see them punished.
Well, you could harbor a grudge against them to see them punished and then forgive them after they're punished. Or not. But I don't know. If
I'm not sure why either one is really better than the other.
Yeah, if you're the sort of person who holds grudges, give us a call. We want to talk to you.
Yeah, give us a call at 603-283-6160 because I'm not, I mean, obviously we're all dealing with emotional values here. That's how we assign valuations in the first place, is on the basis of emotion. So I would say that the person who forgives is probably better emotionally. They're probably more emotionally healthy. They're probably happier. They're more at peace. They're more contented than someone who is harboring a grudge. But even then we have to ask, well, why is it beneficial for the person to be contented and to have forgiven this person? Why is that better than this person who is miserable to some degree, or in some parts of the day, or even just as one day out of each month or 1 year? Why is that beneficial to them holding a grudge?
Why is it better to be unhappy and hold a grudge and just have all this negativity in your life? I mean, I would hope that's self-evident, but apparently it's not.
No, I would say it's not, because there's really nothing except we say, well, you can feel better Maybe, but seeing that person, castrated publicly would also make them feel better.
And some people, maybe they don't want to feel better, or they're not ready to get over it.
Yeah, you definitely have to want to get over it. And you definitely have to want inner peace in order to seek it out. If you want to carry on with that animalistic grudge carrying, then that's what you're going to find to be preferable, I suppose. We'll be back with more of this article and more of this discussion on forgiveness and the merits of it when we get back in just a few minutes.
Catch the Call to Freedom at its new time, weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. The Call to Freedom is the only live drive-home call-in show in the U.S. with a segment devoted to cryptocurrencies. Crypto Hour, brought to you by Helium.com, live from Vertcoin Studios in New Hampshire. Learn about what makes cryptocurrencies so great and why you should care about them. Updates on new coins and ICOs, and warnings of scams. Plus, hear from traders, whales, developers, and big names in the crypto world. You can also win crypto coins or tokens every episode. Just listen for the faucet sound and be the 5th caller to get free Dash, Litecoin, Vertcoin, Verge, or other cryptocurrencies. The Call to Freedom with Will and Aria, featuring Crypto Hour. Broadcast internationally through our BitPlus network satellite. Weekdays from 4 to 7 p.m. on LRN FM.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way.
You can't do that and you have to leave here. You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well,
I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa, hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is...
You ain't going to make it.
Wait
now.
Wait a minute.
Whoa.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
You are listening to the Call to Freedom on LRN.FM. Unasikiliza wito wa uhuru katika LRN.FM.
All right, welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM, where we're having a discussion about the rape victims of the Catholic Church and the nature of forgiveness. And I've asked the question of whether or not it's actually preferable or better to forgive someone than to harbor a grudge and seething resentment against them.
You know, the thing about that is it's if you've been assaulted, if someone has done something to you, whether it's sexual assault or otherwise, it can be very hard to forgive.
It can be. And, you know, that's when we ask people to forgive, when we encourage them to forgive, as I've been doing all week, is asking them to put in that extra work, that extra emotional work, that extra emotional exhaustion in order to forgive this person that, you know, did injure them.
You know, I can see it now. The first thing you're going to be asked by one of these people who's in pain because of this is, why should I forgive my rapist?
Yeah. And I don't have a good answer for that. Your own emotional well-being would be the best answer, but I can neither prove nor even demonstrate that your own emotional well-being is going to be helped or hindered by any forgiveness of the perpetrator.
Okay, so then why bother at all?
That's the question I've been asking in the last couple of weeks, I suppose. I don't know. It's hard, it's difficult, it's arduous. It's not fun, certainly. And it essentially allows the person who injured you, ideally, because you would forgive them and you would, you know, somehow make that known to them, to mitigate their own guilt at having wronged you in the first place. Now, I would still certainly argue that one should forgive. That should be one's default reaction to any sort of injury, in fact. And I understand that when you're in the grips of pain, it's hard to do that. Maybe even impossible if you're currently in the grips of that pain. But I would still argue that it's a good idea to, and that one should do it, even though I can't give you any reason why you should.
Well, isn't the fact that you might benefit from it a reason enough?
That's true. They certainly, well, yeah, but, you know, then again, they will benefit in much the same way, a different kind of way, but they will benefit similarly by watching the perpetrator go to prison.
What if the perpetrator never goes to prison or gets caught? Because, you know, a lot of these sexual assaults, no one will ever go to prison for.
Well, that's true.
Possibly the majority of them.
Well, I mean, yeah, sure. That's a good point. If you know or have very good reason to believe that the person who injured you is not going to be punished anyway, then forgiveness is the only game in town in the first place.
Well, why not hold a grudge? It does kind of feel good to hate.
It does. It does. And maybe it's better for people in the long run to hate than it is for them to love and forgive. You know, these are fundamental philosophical questions that a lot of people shy away from, but I don't think we should. I think we should ask, why do we assume it's better to love than to hate?
Yeah, we should ask that question. And when you put it that starkly, it's something you have to stop and think about.
Yeah, I mean, it's an impossible question to answer, obviously. Certainly, hate, you could envision a world in which hate has produced a strong, effective society, but it really depends upon your values, what you value in a society and in a world, that would determine whether you prefer this pathway leading to this world or this pathway leading to this world. Me, because I value love and peace and compassion, I value forgiveness and love over hate, because I would prefer a world where people are loving and generous and compassionate and kind. But that isn't to say that worldview or that world that I'm imagining is any better than a world that is filled with hatred and animosity and widespread murder and things like that. By what criteria would I make the difference? Less people being murdered? I mean, that's a good criteria. Yeah, but why do I prefer less people being murdered? And the reason for that is because of love. So it's a circular argument all the way.
Or the possibility that humanity just goes extinct by killing everyone.
Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. But why should that bother me either? You know, is it because I value life and love so much that I don't want to see people killed? Fair enough. But those people didn't, and they should have the liberty to act in accordance with their own values to some degree. I would certainly agree that the non-aggression principle and that love and things like that are just going to produce a better society than one based on other principles, especially principles like hatred and enmity and disgust and loathing and all of that. But I have no basis for that, and the only reason I say that is because of what could fairly be called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which is that I value my own values and I use them to assess the value of other values. So I assess hatred and enmity as being inferior values because my counter values, love and peace, are what I use to assess the value of hatred and enmity. And being diametrically opposed to them, I'm obviously going to assess them as inferior.
And reject them.
So if we escape all of that and we ask the question as objectively as possible while being subjects in an existent reality where we have only our own perspectives with which to analyze things, why would we prefer love over hate? Is there any real reason to do that, or is the only reason to do that going to be because we already like love?
You know, when you put it that way, love versus hate, I would also prefer love because I think it has better outcomes.
Yep. And you prefer those outcomes
I prefer the
because
sort of
you
society
prefer love.
that we end up with.
Yeah. And you prefer that society because you prefer love.
I prefer the sort of people that I end up around.
Okay, that's fair. So it's more utilitarian for you in that sense.
Okay, yeah, I'll buy that.
Okay, that's cool. I did not mean to get into any of that. I was not prepared to have that.
Yeah, I don't think either of us were prepared for that. But
that's the kind of thing I have to sit down and write about because it requires such. I can't believe I was able to get through any of that on the fly like that. So wow, I must be getting used to this. But I do think at the end of the day, the only reason we value love over hate is because we value love over hate. It becomes circular. So I would say that you should forgive because you should value love over hate. And whether or not, and even if a person doesn't agree with that, I mean, let me rephrase that. If a person doesn't agree with that, then they're not going to agree with me in the first place that they should forgive because they value hate over love.
Right.
So I think we sort of reach an impasse there of circular arguments, and I don't think there's really any more we can dig into that particular rabbit hole.
I don't think we can solve that in the next 10 minutes.
No, definitely not. I don't think that's anything that can be solved, period. But I think it's probably important for us to recognize that the reason to forgive people instead of bearing a grudge and hating them is for love. And the reason we prefer love and forgiveness is because we value that over hatred. So there may not be any objective reason or any good reason or any reason at all because it's ultimately just a tautology.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I value love because I value love because I value love. But that's why you should forgive people, because you should value love over hatred. And I say that you should value love over hatred because I think it would produce a better world than one that values hatred over love. And the reason I say that is because the way I'm assessing the differences between those two worlds is which one has more love and which one doesn't. So we're going to move on here because I cannot do any more of that on the fly, at least. I'll write about that later at theanarchistgmail.com. Probably not tonight. Probably at some point in the next near future. We'll be back, so don't go anywhere. This is the Call to Freedom.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can listen to LRN.FM via our free-to-air satellite channels? We have channels over nearly all of North America and much of Africa. All you need is an affordable receiver and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you are a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage maps and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm. sat.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Now that you've found the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM, you may want to help expose others to our great programs. To assist you in doing so, you'll find resources at promote.lrn.fm, including details on how to get a free bumper sticker, quarter-page flyers you can print out and distribute, banners for your website, as well as files that will allow you to make your own custom banners and graphics. Visit promote.lrn.fm and help bring new listeners to the Liberty Radio Network. That's promote.lrn.fm.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
You are listening to The Call to Freedom live on LRN.fm. تستمعون إلى نداء للحرية مباشرة على LRN.fm.
Welcome back to the Call to Freedom here on LRN.FM. If you'd like our show, I'd like to invite you to go check us out at Patreon at patreon.com/call to freedom. if you would like to throw us a couple of bucks or whatever, our current supporters, Jeffrey Davies and Jonathan Dunker, are actually responsible for keeping the podcast alive at calltofreedomlive.podbean.com. So, I mean, that's a really cool thing they're doing. It would be ideal if we could get all of the show-related stuff essentially paid for so that it doesn't have to come out of my pocket anymore, like the website and things like that. That would be awesome.
That would be good.
So be sure to check that out at Patreon, because I do have a hard cap of each month how much I'm willing to suspend to sustain the show. And if it ever goes over that, then I'll just have to be
Stuff's
done.
not getting done.
Yeah. So that's patreon.com/call-to-freedom. So that would be really cool if you could check us out there. We have various tiers that don't really offer much of a reward because there's not really much we can do except give you shout outs and things like that.
Yeah, we're a radio show and we talk about stuff, but we'll have to think of something.
Well, we used to do the Libertarian Drama of the Week, when there is Libertarian Drama, is sponsored by our $15 a month patrons. So they get a shout out because they sponsor that segment anytime it happens. Of course, it hasn't happened for a while because...
Yeah, it's been at least 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, I think Bill Weld was the last one, and prior to that, it was like months since the last one.
Yeah, I haven't seen any good libertarian drama lately.
Oh, it'll pick back up soon. What, about 6 months? In about 6 months, once the 2020 season really starts.
Oh, the primaries are going to be starting. New Hampshire is about to get invaded.
Really?
Yeah. New Hampshire has the first in the nation primaries.
I thought it was the second.
That's going to be in January. Well, the Iowa caucuses are sometimes earlier, but it's the first primary of the country.
Okay.
So that'll be in like January 2020, which is 11 months from now, less than 11 months. So in a few months from now, our phones are going to start blowing up with robocalls. The politicians are going to invade. It's like an every 4-year invasion on the alternate odd-numbered 4th year.
We got a robocall earlier while we had Jack on hold, actually. Somebody also called on line 1 that was just some automated thing. I don't even know what they were saying. I just clicked.
You hung up on it?
Yeah. Screw you.
Yeah, and my phone has been on these lists for years, so it'll start blowing up this year, and as soon as the primaries are over, it will stop.
Interesting. Well, I'm not looking for that. It'll be cold again by that point, too.
It'll be cold again by that point, but yeah, they'll start showing up in
their predictability.
Yeah, the politicians will start showing up probably in the summer is when they'll really start coming in.
Interesting. I'm also told that, I also saw that Penn Jillette promises to come to Keene.
Oh, yes, we are definitely looking forward to his visit, hopefully next month.
Really?
Well, he said he's going to come up and have some fucking great after they're open. So
awesome.
The next time he's in the neighborhood. Well, he's from Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is like 30 miles down I-91.
Yeah.
So I guess the next time he's in the area, he's going to pop up here for a visit and a bowl of pho.
Awesome. It'd be great to meet him. Because I'm an atheist and libertarian. Mm-hmm. He's an atheist and libertarian.
Yeah, I wanna have a long conversation with Teller. So.
Good luck with that. Well, we're gonna. There is no cannabis news. It is a segment that we've unofficially dropped because there just isn't a lot of cannabis news, and neither Michael nor I actually smoke cannabis anyways. It is an important
The only
topic.
thing I saw today, and it's not that big a news, is that there's a bill to legalize marijuana in New Hampshire that came out of committee today. They did vote ought to pass on it, and supposedly they do have a veto-proof majority.
Awesome.
So if it gets through the House and Senate this time, which it usually does, then hopefully we'll actually have legalization this year.
That would be awesome. Get rid of the decriminalization.
Right.
Actual legalization. That would be great. I mean, it's kind of conspicuous that, it's an epic fail for the Free State Project. No matter how you look at it. The states to the west of us, to the south of us, to the east of us.
And New Hampshire's among the last state to have this.
Yeah. We're surrounded by a sea of legal pot. And then the state that was chosen as the Free State Project has not managed to get it legalized.
Well, the thing about that is that the Free State Project, that New Hampshire has been passing marijuana bills for years. It's passed how many times? Like half a dozen legalization bills or decrim bills have gone. More than that, probably. They keep getting vetoed by the governors of both parties. And we haven't had, until now, we haven't had a veto-proof majority.
Well, I will see that there isn't a lot we can do about the veto power of the governor, other than, obviously, ideally, getting rid of that power and getting rid of the legislative body as well.
Right.
Speaking of which, it's no longer legal to open carry in the legislative chamber here in New Hampshire.
Yeah, well, that's... So everybody's concealing now.
That's what I would do.
Well, that's what the state reps are doing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I remember on Free Talk Live, we read an article from one of these state reps about how they had no intention whatsoever of abiding it.
Exactly.
But I guess they did.
Well, like I said, they're. I haven't seen anyone carrying openly, but as far as I know, all the state reps who carry are carrying concealed.
Oh, they backed down. But back to the story we've been talking about. Pope Francis and his allies, including Chicago's Cardinal Kupich, one of 4 organizers of the summit, have repeatedly blamed clericalism for the crisis. In his talk, Cardinal Salazar reflected on how bishops have failed to take abuse allegations seriously in the past and said that more than new policies, a change in culture is needed.
Now, come on. How do you expect a bishop to take complaints of abuse seriously when the bishop is probably one of the abusers?
Well, as I understood it, it's largely priests who have been committing the sexual assault.
I've read a few stories that have said that there are quite a few bishops and cardinals that are getting caught up in this too.
But
yeah,
were they getting caught up in it? Were they
as
engaging
abusers?
But were they engaging in these acts when they were priests or when they moved up in the ranks to bishop and then cardinal?
That I'm not too clear on. I don't have all the stories in front of me.
I wouldn't expect the average bishop or cardinal to have that much access to a person alone. Not in the way that a priest would anyway, but I'm fairly ignorant of the Catholic Church. I've only once been to a Catholic church, and I had no desire whatsoever to ever attend another.
Yeah, I've been inside a Catholic church twice in my life, so...
I did have a friend recommend me once to go and confess to a priest. It would just be, a good experience for you. I was like, I've got better things to do than go confess to this random person who's just going to tell me I've sinned anyway.
Right. I already know that.
But in analyzing, they're not wrong. The problem with the Catholic Church is far more than just the enforced celibacy on the priests. It's the veil of secrecy that surrounds the church and has always surrounded the church. It's the power system itself that they've cultivated over the centuries to allow them to manipulate and exploit the people.
For literally for millennia, for almost its entire existence, the Catholic Church has pretty much run the world either openly or behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's absolutely been a state for the most part.
Yeah.
It's engaged
it effectively has been a super state.
Yeah, an international state, certainly.
Right.
Sort of a world government. And there was pushback against that largely during England back in the era of, the 14th, 15th centuries and things like that, and the Great Glorious Revolution of 1686 or 1668, I forget which. But there's a long history of rebelling against these sorts of entrenched authorities and slowly making our way toward freedom. Yeah. And I think this increasing trend towards secularism, because I wouldn't qualify it as atheism, because there is too much dogma attached to modern atheism. But this growing trend of secularism is probably a different manifestation of that same pushback against authority. Unfortunately, we've replaced that authority with the state. It simply became our God instead.
Yeah, it's just replacing one God with another, as it were.
We stopped singing our little hymns and pledges at the church and started doing it at the courthouse, for all intents and purposes. So we're not secularists, we're not atheists, we simply worship at the altar of the state. And that's, if not as dangerous, more dangerous than worshiping at the altar of Christ.
I'll buy that.
Well, this has been an unusual episode, but don't go anywhere. Free Talk Live is coming up next.
I like unusual.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that